I can tell you it's disappointing. I don't know the answer for it. I think your commitment through the years in covering women's sports is not shared by, um, the broader media in our market. We've improved our coverage in our market for sure, but it is not at the level that it should be at this point, given the magnitude of the events that we have had, whether it's WNBA championships, multiple times, and whether it's when we hosted the All-Star game, whatever it is. And so, we've got another step to go. I'm really hopeful that the current events in covering women's sports, how things are changing very rapidly, that our market is one that will grab a hold and share your passion for it.
Next question, staying in the front row.
Hey, Cheryl, Annie Constable, Chicago Sun-Times. First-time Olympian Kalia Copper, you have been coaching her for a few years with USAB. What stands out to you about her career trajectory and how she's worked to making an Olympic roster? Some would say maybe later in her career comparatively to some of the other.
Yeah, I think Ka's the epitome of a career trajectory in that her first USAB experience, was one in terms of where she was at in the league, that, it was typical first experience. She had a lot to learn, a lot to figure out. But she started figuring that out in the WNBA, obviously, as we know, with, culminating in an MVP in the finals. And she just keeps growing. She's got a great work ethic, great passion for the game. And so I think it's notable. I think, like you said a little bit later in her career, I think that's notable for players that they understand. We were just having this conversation that it may not be your time when you're younger. Maybe there's just people at your position. Maybe you still have a little bit to add to your game, whatever it is. And, being patient in that process, in Kalia's case, that has, paid dividends for her.
Cheryl, next question to your left in the second row.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi there.
Good to see you.
You
There
too.
are reports that there's a new media rights deal that will be official with the league probably in the coming days. Just someone who's been in the league for so long, wanted to get your reaction of that, and also how that money could help fund an economic model that can really set the league up for success long term.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's not surprising. I think it was important that, we valued ourselves in this negotiation. It's certainly helpful to have this rookie class, led by Caitlin, who, is sort of driving, the media, the interest, the business. And so I think making sure that, I said this in the beginning of the season, what can the WNBA do? We can take advantage and not sell ourselves short, and also have a vision for the future where this league is headed. Like all pro sports leagues that we have seen, NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, there is an evolution to a sports league, and we're in our evolution. This is our moment to take that next step. We are going to, it's, I think, 10 or 11 years, whatever it was. I hope that there is, what I would label as a kicker in there for when we reach certain thresholds that maybe didn't exist in the last deal that we had, because there's going to be growth. Because when you get more eyes on it, right, it's going to continue to grow. Valuations of franchises, interests, et cetera. It's all natural. The same thing that you saw with the NBA is going to happen with the WNBA. And so I think I applaud if it's true, whatever elements are true. And I applaud, obviously, leadership and getting this done. Because the initial numbers that I heard, I didn't think did it justice, did our league justice. But if we can land in this space and even more, then I think we probably, that was probably a well done process. Well, I mean, I think the obvious, I should probably avoid, I think Becky sat here in Vegas, got set up in a press conference and got fined a lot of money. I'm going to avoid talking about collectively bargained issues.
Next question, Cheryl, to your right in the third row.
Hi, I'm a Bachelorary, Sports Illustrated. Looking back to that game against Belgium in February, considering that Team USA doesn't find itself in a lot of close late situations like that, I'm curious if you think there's anything that the team is going to be able to take from that, just experiencing that in a new environment internationally.
There's no question about it. I know it's what we anticipated as coaches, and I also thought it's what we needed. We need adversity. I think to be able to reach your greatest heights, you have to experience adversity. And so a game like that, in an environment like that, I think that will prove to be a valuable experience for us as we continue to move forward towards being in Paris and competing for a gold medal.
Joe, next question to your left in the third row.
Coach, when you talk about obviously getting to Paris with the team and the talent, you said some players younger, maybe not ready in the here, Kalia Copper, obviously in her career, but the challenges and the fun coaching a team, because I know you can obviously, as you know, you can't force chemistry, but just kind of getting them to work together and obviously working for a gold medal. What's the challenge in that?
Well, it can be a challenge if you, if you sort of let it. I think that it is a narrative. It is true in terms of time. But I also think what you do in your time together and working towards that chemistry, we talk about that every time we get together and what we think is necessary. And that's, more proprietary information. But we understand it, but we're not going to let that be a reason why we're not successful.
Cheryl, on the right side, fourth row.
Hi,
Hi, Cheryl.
how are you?
When you're looking at group play and it's a tough group that you got drawn into, what are the challenges you're kind of looking forward to and preparing your team for?
I love the difference in stylistic scenarios that we'll see in terms of schemes, and we will be challenged. Again, I thought the pool, I thought it was great. I think it's what we need as we have a shorter runway into medal rounds with just 3 games. I think giving ourselves, the game tomorrow, the competition in that, the game over in London, I think it's all really, really good for us. And I'm hopeful that we're going to have to go through ups and downs and learn quickly how to navigate them.
All right, well, one more question from the room, and if we have time, one on Zoom. Cheryl, third row center.
Hi, Cheryl. Matt Ishbia has said, he's put a lot of effort into making this the best All-Star game weekend ever. What have you seen from, the city of Phoenix and the Mercury and from him? What type of accommodations have you seen for the players and what, the investment into the events?
Yeah, and I haven't gotten to see the broader. I've heard. I can tell you what I've seen, what have I experienced, and first, I think it's absolutely tremendous as somebody that's been in the league since 2001, where ownership was then, and where ownership is now, and where we're heading. It is very exciting, and Matt is one of those owners who is really, really committed. It's going to drive our league forward in ways that it's absolutely deserving. And so I think what we're seeing here is that I think everything that he's doing, that we heard about, and when they were in the hiring process, when they're in free agency, et cetera, the facility. But I think what I've seen, Phoenix is a great city. They love the WNBA. I absolutely love that we have Cheryl Miller in this because I actually was at, a Cheryl Miller coach Phoenix game, many, many years ago. And they have long been a fan base and a city that has embraced the WNBA. And so I think Matt really elevating that to another level or, all the people involved in this, as soon as we get into the airport, it could be at signage and things like very thoughtful, intentional things that the city knows, not just, of course, we know. But the city knows. And so putting it on a bigger stage, the coverage, et cetera, the show that I know we're going to put on tomorrow, that speaks for itself. But all the other stuff, think about when you go to an NBA All-Star weekend, what does it look like and feel like? This All-Star game resembles that probably more than any other.
This will be our last question. Cheryl, fourth row to your right.
Cheryl, just wondering about piggybacking off a question about the growth of the league. MLB has done this, NBA as well as NFL scheduling games, exhibitions overseas and a regular season. Do you think that being that the women's basketball has always had a market in Europe before the league existed, that they could eventually get to the point of marketing the game by scheduling those types of games overseas over time? I know this is more of a question for Kathy Engelbert, but
I can speak unequivocally, yes. Yes, globalizing the game is a priority for our commissioner. So I have no doubt that you will see that very soon. No doubt. And, obviously we've done it in Canada, but, that's different. But we will absolutely be playing a game in Europe for sure.